You're listening to the Archaeology Podcast Network.
You have my sword.
And you have my bow.
And my trowel.
Hi, you're listening to episode 51 of And My Trowel, where we look at the fantastic side of archaeology and the archaeological side of fantasy. I'm Ash.
And I'm Tilly.
And do you remember how last week we got really annoyed because you caught that troll on the graffitiing stuff on the side of the headquarters?
Yes, it took me, I was so pissed off. It took me ages to redo that paintwork.
Well, it actually turns out that he was just leaving us our next quest.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so he was the representative of the Karnithril Collegium of Wall Law.
Wait, the what?
Yeah, I don't know. There's too many of these academic associations now. It's really hard to keep up. But basically, they study all forms of wall-based writing, including graffiti. And some of the more hardcore members will apparently only communicate via graffiti.
Okay, so what is the quest then?
Well, they're currently conducting research on the ancient ruins of the Thud, which, as you are aware, is an abandoned city famous for having walls covered in mystical graffiti.
True, yeah.
However, these sigils are mysteriously disappearing, not crumbling, but literally fading from existence, as if they're being erased from time itself. So they want our help in working out how to analyse and document them as quickly as possible.
Oh, you know what? I might actually have the perfect person to help us with this quest. She actually, as luck would have it, just popped over for a cuppa, so it's perfect timing. So Ash, meet Jona Schlegel, professional archaeologist and archaeological illustrator.
Ah, amazing. Welcome, Jona.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for being invited to this nice round here.
It's so nice too. It's one of those, connections that I've been following you on socials for so long, and then it's really funny to actually finally be speaking to you in person.
Yeah, I'm also the same. And when Tilly suggested having you on, Jona, I was like, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, that's great. I usually also don't really show my face on social media and don't really share my voice. So yeah. That is a different setting now.
Yeah, so if listeners be
honoured.
Be honoured, yeah. So getting the voice of Jona Schlegel. So, as we mentioned, you are sort of involved with archaeology and specifically archaeological illustration, but how did you first get into the field of archaeology? What was the path or the sort of first entrance into the field?
Yeah, I guess as a kid, I was digging holes in my grandma's garden, and she used broken pottery shards, I think for water storage. So they had a practical reason, but I just kept collecting them and trying to put them together back kind of. And yeah, that's, I guess, how it's all started. I mean, after school, I just did different things, like a volunteer year, and I actually started studying engineering. But that was all not for me. And so I packed up my things and moved from Berlin to a tiny village in Western Germany and started on an archaeological excavation.
Interesting. And so, that was more sort of then as a volunteer dig kind of thing?
It was an internship, yeah.
Oh, right, cool.
Interesting. I do find that amazing. So I'm currently working in commercial in Germany, and there are so many people in our company as well who are also not qualified archaeologists. They haven't studied archaeology, they just want to give it a go. I find it really interesting. How is that in the UK, Ash, with studying archaeological?
Yeah, I mean, the companies I work for, most people had studied archaeology at university, but there was quite a lot of managers who had not, who got in it through different ways. So there was land management and stuff like that, or people that had just taken it up as a volunteer and then they had gained so much experience that they were really good. So yeah, I think it's sort of a lie. Academia is a lie.
We don't need to study things. We can just show up.
Yeah, I mean, for the practical side of archaeology, you truly, you can have all the degrees in the world. But if you don't have experience in the field, it's not worth anything, actually.
Yeah.
You could say, I remember I was digging with someone, this is a bit I might shame them. Oh no, I don't want to shame them, but
It's fine. We can call them Gandalf.
I was thinking of Gandalf in the field one day, and Gandalf had told me that they were doing a PhD on postals, specifically postals. I don't know why, but they had never dug a postal before.
But they were doing a PhD on it.
Yeah. And I was like, a postal? It's like the first thing you find, really, especially in Scotland, because of all of our structures are pretty much just wooden, especially in like the Neolithic and stuff. But yeah, they were digging, they had never dug a postal, and they were on, they were in commercial and they were doing test pitting with me. But yeah, and also their PhD was 10 years. 10 years they had been doing it, and they had never dug a postal before.
Wow. I mean, although, to be fair, my PhD was also in a topic that I had never really done before. Like, as in...
Yeah, but you went and did it actively.
Yes, true.
Like, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we've gotten sidetracked.
So we got sidetracked. But is that, Jona, how you kind of got into archaeological illustration? Because obviously on the field you have to draw. Is that how you got into it, or was it another way?
Yeah, that was actually a totally different way. So I can just elaborate a little bit. Like in Germany, we actually have the site technician like educational track that you can do. And I started then studying conservation and restoration and field archaeology in Berlin, and just went to several excavations around Europe. And I did not really like illustrating artifacts, I have to say. Like, I'm definitely not an artifact illustrator. I like to draw fields, like the, technical profiles and just situations. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of fun for me. But yeah, no artifacts. And that's also like after the bachelor, I studied landscape archaeology. So, going even a wider view so I moved to Vienna to work at the Ludwig Boltzmann Institute for Archaeological Perspective and Virtual Archaeology. And then the pandemic hit.
The dreaded pandemic.
Yes. Yeah. And during the first lockdown, I was like, I'm only sitting in front of my laptop. What else can I do? And I started, doing watercolor, drawing, creating art as kind of like a mental health thing also for me, to get away from the laptop. And then I stumbled across the Arch-Inc. challenges. And I participated for like a few prompts in the first year, I think, in 2020. And it was so invigorating, kind of like it was, you had a prompt, but everyone was just like abstracting it, thinking outside of the box. And so I was trying to do that as well. Yeah. And I, thereby discovered the fun of creating conceptual illustrations.
Yeah. And that's the archaeological version of Inktober, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Every October drawing for the crowd, and kind of like also doing, like, I call it visual science communicating. Mm-hmm. So that's more my field of illustrating.
Nice. Yeah.
What would you call visual science? Like, how would you tell the listener what visual science does and what it can do to educate people?
Oh, that's such a broad topic.
Just a small question, just a very,
too far and for the fun. So basically what I'm trying to do is like taking a topic and trying to put it in an illustration, or I also do 3D models or web development. So currently, I can just tie this a little bit in. So currently, I'm working on a project here in Amsterdam with the Huygens Institute, where we're digitizing maps. And I'm kind of like programming an online tool where there's like complex data structure behind it. And I'm trying to present it for the user in a nice way so we can annotate the maps really nicely. And so this is one of the aspects for me in visual science communication, like just putting the human back in, the science. Like having a tool that the user really can use nicely or can understand a topic easier.
Yeah. So that kind of came about because of this sort of love of art, or, well, I assume you were already relatively good at art because you're incredible at doing the artistic work that you create is incredible. So I assume that happened before COVID as well. You already had some experience with art, or is that just something that has grown and expanded since?
I would say it has grown and expanded. It's just a practice. Like, you just have to keep doing it. I still have troubles drawing humans and hands.
Oh my God, same.
But I also never really spent time to train myself on it. Then I would probably get better. So yeah, I think it's all a practice of just keep repeating it, and then you get good at it. And yeah.
Which I'm always in awe. I mean, of Ash as well. I mean, you also do a lot of artworks for your business, but also for other things, Ash. And I'm just in awe of people who are able to actually like persevere. I think my patience just holds out. If I'm not good at something instantly, I just give up. I have to be the best, or I'm not doing it.
But I mean, Jona's right though, because you do with art, like you can have a talent for it, but if you keep at it, you get better and better, and you're able to contextualize and visualize things much easier on the paper. And I was like the opposite to you, Jona. I started with archaeological illustration of artifacts, and then I got into landscapes, and I can't draw humans. I had just, as much as I have tried, I don't have the eye for them. I just cannot capture them like I can a pottery shard, so I find it really difficult. And yet hands are like the worst things ever. And I always think, some it's just awful to draw.
I draw kind of like a little bit more advanced stick figures. And they have like one thumb and then a rectangular hand shape. So that's my approach to hands.
If I draw a person, the hands are never seen. They're always like in their pockets, or they're like behind their back or something like that, because I cannot draw hands. I can't really draw faces properly either. So usually it's just the back of the head you see.
I read do you guys know the Harry McClary books?
No,
they're kids books. They're fantastic. They're so good. If anyone needs kids for their kids for their
needs
toddlers,
kids.
Books. If anyone needs books, if anyone needs books for their kids or books for their toddlers, I would really recommend them because they're good fun. It's like a group. Harry McClary is like a terrier, and he's got a group of friends. So they all have various names in various statements, like rhyming books. But they're really beautiful illustrations. There's lots of dogs and cats and stuff featured in them. But of course, they do have people in them occasionally, but never with a face. Like they're always the heads sort of cut off at the top of the page, or like they're
a Tom and Jerry
with the back to it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, I wonder whether the artist was just like, I'm not gonna even bother trying to like draw a face.
You see, even if I try and draw animals, it's the same. Like I look like I've never seen a cat before. Like those medieval paintings you find of those weird cats. That's how I draw cats.
Amazing.
Have you seen that one, which is like a medieval artist, and it's saying like, wait, you do know what an elephant looks like, right? And the medieval artist, yes, of course I do. And then it's got like, I don't know, the trunk growing out of the top of its head and tusks coming out of its shoulder blades or something.
It's like the first images of kangaroo. Everyone was like, what is that? Because, But I was wondering, what is your experience with the archaeology of graffiti, as that's our topic today?
Yeah, so in 2021, Project Indigo started, and I was a core member of that. And the idea was of this project to inventory, that's where the EN comes from, and then disseminate, GI, graffiti along the Donau Canal, which is the Danube Canal, which intersects the inner city of Vienna, basically, the capital of Austria. And so the Danube Canal is a lot of concrete and has the canal is has concrete walling and then a pavement where people can walk on. And there's some grass on some spots and also bars. So it's a really vibrating scene there. And you also have walls going up to where the bridges then cross and where the streetcars going.
Right, yeah.
And these walls, some of them are legal to spray on. But spread their joy of creating graffiti along the concrete
Very
walls.
positive way.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like mostly sanctioned. So if there's a police car or police control passing by, they will not prosecute you if you're currently spraying your graffito.
Okay.
Yeah, there's certain areas and cities that you're allowed to do it. I know Glasgow has a whole competition for graffiti that you can do by the Clyde. And they do it I can't remember if it's every 4 years or something goes back to Glasgow. But yeah, they can basically, kids from everywhere come and they do graffiti and then they can win prizes for it.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's like one of the legal zones that's commonly used for workshops, like school kids learning how to use a spray pan. Or if you're a company.
That seems very against sort of what you would be trying to. Okay, yeah.
It's art. It's expression and creativity.
But yeah.
It's really cool. And so we had to cover around 13 kilometers of kind of like uninterrupted wall, 6 on either side of the Danube Canal. And yeah, that was a lot of documentation, and I can tell you, you have layers upon layers of graffiti. Like there's this one spot, which I think is the oldest legal wall, at least there in the Danube Canal. And you can bet that every second day there's a new graffito there created, like a really huge piece. So with like a background coloring, some text, some like characters. Yeah, it's really cool and stratification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the project was to document all of these different types and layers and everything.
Yeah, and then also, process the data that we collected, create a proper data structure. So that's mainly what I did. I basically started by figuring out, which I still don't know, what actually a graffiti is. It's a really complex concept, and I think everyone has their own idea about it. You probably also have an idea what you would call a graffito, right?
Well, first of all, this is the first time I'm hearing the word graffito. So graffito singular and then graffiti plural?
Yes.
Oh, you learn a new thing every day. I guess for me, graffiti would be, I don't know, any form of addition, pigmented addition. I'm trying to think of this in as a scientific way as possible. Pigmented addition to like the surface or it doesn't even have to be man-made, right? It can be any surface. A pigmented addition to a surface that was not intended to be there. But then that seems really vague.
But then that's kind of, you're saying almost if it's not intended, if it's legally sanctioned, then it's not graffiti to you.
No, it is still.
It is
but
still
not
graffiti.
intended as in like, it's not just like whitewashing a wall. Like if someone was to just whitewash their wall, that's not graffiti.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. It has to have expression
like
into
an additional, no practical purpose, I guess. Like,
you're getting too deep into what art is now.
What is practical? Oh my God.
Exactly. If you feel something, it's art.
Yeah, so you already see my dilemma.
Yes.
Which I think we need to Oh, sorry. Yes, Carol?
Yeah, it's just like if you talk to researchers, if you talk to graffitists themselves, one has their own definition of it, and it's really crazy how different they are often.
Yeah. I mean, I had to do one of my projects for my PhD was about art, like tiny figurines. And my goodness, the whole thing of what is art and what is, and how does one define it? How do the categories come? I feel like we need a little, hang on. Ash, can you roll for perception for me?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Tilly, do you fancy a cup of tea?
Oh, thanks, Ash. That would be great.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Here you go, Tilly. Subtle as ever.
Thanks. I thought it was quite subtle, actually.
Yeah, very subtle. So, Jona, you're clearly familiar with writing on the wall, but what other forms of writing? For example, fantasy writing. Are you a fan of fantasy fiction?
Yeah.
Yay!
And it's just, yeah.
Yeah, end of discussion. Right, well,
Yeah,
that's it
right.
for this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, you know how it is, right? Like the academic realm doesn't really leave many spots for reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reading.
Non-fiction stuff.
Yeah.
Fiction stuff.
Yes, true.
Yes, that's like lots of non-fiction reading, which sometimes feels like fiction when you read it. So, do you have any I know you're not reading a lot, but do you have any favorite fantasy books that you often go to? Maybe a comfort read or something.
Yeah, so I have this series. It's about a girl. She's like a magician and has a sibling. And then she like hides herself as a guy, like disguises herself and becomes a
Very
knight.
Shakespearean.
Yeah. So that was my go-to growing up fantasy book, Alana.
The Tamora Pierce ones? Yes.
Yes.
Love them.
Yeah.
They were I think they were like my entrance. No, they weren't my entrance into fantasy. I was in fantasy a lot younger, but I loved that whole series, the Song of the Lioness series.
Yes, me too.
They were fantastic. They were really good.
Yeah,
Did you
really
ever
good.
read the other ones? She did a bunch of different ones actually set in that universe, and I loved them so much. There was one with like magical creatures, and they could talk to creatures and animals and stuff. I can't remember.
That's the only series I read. And I think it was also not so common. Like I had a German translation of it growing up. So I don't even know if there are like other books from her translated to German than that series.
Oh, true. Yeah, of course. Are you actually? That's interesting. Do you, when you even like now, when you're still reading things like fantasy and stuff, do you mainly read translations?
No, like I only read English.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, because I find it really. So to try and improve my German, I thought, why don't I read Discworld? Hey, look, I'm bringing it in early, Ash, because I'm very familiar with those books, so it'll be easy because I basically know them off by heart anyway. You know, so like I'll read them in German. But the problem is, all the names are always changed to like different things.
Oh.
And I realized also in German, like there's so much wordplay in the Discworld books, and it just didn't translate properly because I didn't get what the German wordplay was. Like it was all these very different things. So I find now I always try and just to read stuff in the original language, be that German or English or things like that. But like also, trying to find books to improve my German. I'm trying to find German authors so that I can read like original German stuff rather than like German translations of English books, because it always, I don't know, I always struggle.
I'm trying to read The Hobbit in the Scottish Gaelic translation, and I'm also seeing that too, that the names have changed. Like Bilbo is not Bilbo, it's Bilbo. But like it's like spelt completely differently. But it sounds better when my partner reads it out. I'm like, oh my god, it is Bilbo. I'm reading it out.
In Germany's Bilbo Beutlein, is that correct, Jona?
Oh,
Is this Bilbo
Beutlin. I think it's...
And so you're just like the only person that hasn't changed is Gandalf, which is really interesting.
His agent was like, nah.
It's like, no, you can't change Gandalf's name. So yeah, that's the only thing. But yeah, it's quite interesting because it is different, and the songs are slightly different as well. So yeah, it does have a different like emphasis, I think. But that's my first foray into another language book.
Yeah.
It's a good I think my first English book, fantasy book, was actually the Harry Potter series. Like,
okay, yeah, I think that's a lot of people's like first interaction, isn't it, with fantasy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well.
I like how that turned out. Never mind.
Yeah, well. Although that's another example, though, of a book where like the names are always changed in different languages and stuff, because the names always have meaning, which is quite interesting. So,
I mean, to be fair, she didn't think very hard about the names, though, did she?
Yeah.
Like, Cho Chang, God, like, it annoys me so much. It annoys me to no end. She did not think about it.
No. No.
And like the Irish guy, what's he bad at? Oh, yeah.
Seamus, I can't remember his name.
Finnegan.
Finnegan, that's the one. Seamus Finnegan.
And he blows things up. Oh, come on, J.K. Rowling. Oh, she annoys me.
My God, I didn't even get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you get, yeah. See, she doesn't really think that far, and it's not. It's
Although I don't think
two-dimensional.
actually that he blows stuff up in the books. I think that was like a film thing.
In the film, yeah.
Yeah. No.
To be honest, I only read the third one.
But graffiti, she has some graffiti in there.
Oh, does she?
Does she? Ooh, where's graffiti?
Like in the second book. You have
writing.
writing.
Yeah, the basilisk. Yeah.
That's true.
I'm also not sure. Like, I think like in the first chapter, there was also like when Vernon Dursley was driving around, like he saw signs. People signs and cheered and happiness or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they were writing to be like, woohoo, he's come back and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, true. I forgot that was. Yeah, so, well, then that's a perfect segue to indeed try and think a little bit about the literature review for this study. So to find other examples of graffiti. So yeah, that's one example, I guess, which was more the use of the, so it's, they're writing in blood and it's someone who, yes, spoiler alert, we know who it is. Well, I won't say it. Who did it just in case of someone who wants to read it. And well, you said you've read to book 3, so you should know who it was.
Oh, sorry.
You know, was being mind controlled and then she...
I think it's been out for a while.
It's been out for a while, right?
Out for a while.
Spoiler alert, if you're ever going to read it, which whatever. Ginny Weasley is writing them, but she doesn't realize she's writing them and all of this kind of thing. And it's almost as warnings. So sort of horror-esque things, which I feel happens quite a bit in like fantasy horror or like horror genre in general. You also have sort of writing on the wall appearing.
Don't turn around in the bathroom mirror.
Oh my gosh, it's all just terrifying, which is more just kind of one person going a bit psycho for some reason or another.
It feels mostly text-based, so it's like, I would almost say like ugly writing done by someone who has like not trained themselves in the skill of writing nice, typography.
Yeah. You can I think everyone can imagine it as you say it, can't you? Like how she's writing. I think it's that kind of drippy sort of like writing, And
no handling of the paint and I think she used a brush.
Yes.
So it was just like just no brush control.
Yes, honestly, for goodness sake, Ginny, no brush control.
That's so ridiculous. Like she's trying to be creepy and she doesn't have that. Yeah, like. But that's the thing; it's almost nefarious in that, isn't it? It's seen as something bad. Well, the ones that I could think of, which was only 2, were both like dystopian fantasies.
So I thought I could think of a dystopian as well.
Yeah, so I thought of like the Hunger Games and the Mockingjay symbol, where in the second book, when they go back to the capital and they're going back, and spoilers again, they're going back into the games and things like that. I think, it is the second book, isn't it? Yeah. When they come through a train tunnel, there's a glimpse of the Mockingjay symbol graffitied onto the kind of tube line, and Katniss sees that. And then it becomes like a recurring symbol throughout the whole series of resilience and rebellion. That's what I would think of. And there was also, I was thinking of The City of Ember by Janan, I think it's Duprat. I can't quite remember. But there's also a similar sort of graffiti where it's in a crumbling underground city, and then, you've got these kind of more structured hidden messages throughout the fantasy kind of side of it. So that's like the graffiti's role in that. But that's the only 2 I could really think of, and they were both kind of more like for symbols of strength and rebellion against an oppressive system rather than anything else, like that kind of expression. Yeah,
which I admit I struggled with this one a little bit, so I asked the magic mirror to see if they could suggest some ones. And indeed, most of them were similar. This sort of idea is kind of a form of almost rebellion and having these backgrounds of a sort of dystopian fantasy city kind of thing. So the ones that came up were City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, which again, you had sort of magical inscriptions, ancient symbols, which were all sort of hidden on the walls, and then the character has to kind of uncover them, and the marks that they tell kind of play an important role throughout them, and they say they tell the story and they kind of help them to find their path. And then you had the Perdido street station by China Miéville, and I apologize for mispronunciation of any of these. Miéville? China, if you're listening, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your name. Which again, it's sort of this, urban culture, lots of like environmental storytelling in that respect. So there's street art, there's sigils, there's political markers and that kind of thing. And then also there were some other ones which were like the Bone Season, Samantha Shannon, where symbols and street markings are used to pass information under the noses of an oppressive regime. So again, very much, dystopian fantasy.
Hidden network as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the Shadowshaper. So Daniel José Older, where actually the graffiti is a magical art in itself. So there's these people called Shadowshapers, which can infuse ancestral spirits into art, especially street murals and graffiti. So the city's walls literally come alive.
That's cool.
Yeah, the study and creation of graffiti are very central to the plot, apparently. I haven't read it, but yes, seems very...
That's going on my TBR.
Right? It's a young adult urban fantasy. So if anyone's interested, there you go. Which, I don't know if you had any other examples, Jona, that you kind of came across in your research.
I mean... I just also remembered from Terry Pratchett going Postal.
Yes.
I like
so there's a lot of, I think they're also talking about the trolls and that, you carve in kind of like a clan graffiti.
Yeah, that's, which one's that? Thud. Yeah, and again, that's sort of
it was also in Going Postal.
Yeah, the underlying, I was thinking in Going Postal of all the letters and the sort of writings from the letters as kind of a...
Yeah, I mean, when he first sees the post office, it's like full of graffiti. And
true.
Yeah, it does.
Have to clean it out, I think. And then there's like this really interesting quote that apparently everywhere in Ankh-Morpork there's graffiti and rubbish, but there are certain districts where the graffiti is like not that misspelled and the rubbish is more higher quality. So now I just imagine Ankh-Morpork as like this really cool place full of graffiti writing everywhere. So it would be probably just like the Danube Canal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's so. The example, indeed, of course, that I first thought of was Thud by Terry Pratchett, and in that one, you have also a lot of hidden symbols because there's like a sort of battle going on between the dwarves and the trolls, and so each side is kind of writing their own signs and things on the wall. And what I like is that trolls, indeed, they carve their graffiti into the wall because they're made of stone, so they don't just paint it on; they can actually carve it into the rock, which I thought was quite fun.
That is cool.
So yeah, and then
which is actually the probable origin of the word graffito because it means to scratch.
Interesting.
So they got petroglyphs.
Well, no, hang on. We did this. I've forgotten already. I'm so sorry to our lovely
Megan,
guest, who told us the difference between rock carvings, rock art, petroglyphs, and everything. And I've forgotten them. But there's a difference.
I have to.
Go listen to that episode.
Yeah, if you go listen to that episode, you'll find out.
We'll find out. There you go, teaser.
Sorry, Megan.
Sorry for our rubbish learning, Megan.
We do know this.
We do. But yeah, those ones indeed. So it's kind of this. So indeed, the central themes that sort of seem to come up in all of these ones was that graffito, sort of underground messaging systems as a kind of form of a rebellion. Maybe you have some sort of hidden meanings in the symbols, and they quite often are featured in these more dystopian fantasy kind of novels and fiction. I don't know if you would both agree with that, or if that's sort of something that also correlates a little bit with our Earth world graffiti studies.
I think it is definitely a way of communicating. It might be a clan symbol or just like a warning as well. So it doesn't need to just be a rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more books out there that actually do deal with graffiti in like more magical ways as well, and more like central to culture or something like that, similar to what we talked about with the Shadowshaper. So maybe there are, but we just don't know them.
Yeah. If anyone has any that they, would recommend, all of our contact information is in the show notes. You can message us on social media. You can email us. Please do send in your book suggestions. We're always happy to receive further suggestions and further reading for these particular themes. This talk of writing, by the way, has just reminded me, Ash, did we ever send off that shipment of historic inkwells to the Scribes Museum?
Oh, no, I don't think we did. We got distracted by the shipment of gorgeous scrolls and notebooks that came along with it.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. We should really finish that before the end of today, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to cut this episode of And My Trial short, but don't worry, we'll be continuing the next episode with part 2. In the meantime, as always, please do like, subscribe, follow us wherever you get your podcasts because it really helps to support the show. If you're interested in hearing more about archaeology and all of its content, make sure to check out the other shows in the Archaeology Podcast Network. If you have any episode ideas or you just want to get in touch, you can find all of our contact information as well as links and further information on what we discussed today in the show notes.
The Archaeology Podcast Network is 10 years old this year. Our executive producer is Ashley Airy, our social media coordinator is Matilda Siebrecht, and our chief editor is Rachel Roden. The Archaeology Podcast Network was co-founded by Chris Webster and Tristan Boyle in 2014 and is part of Cultural Media and DigTech LLC.
This has been a presentation of the Archaeology Podcast Network. Visit us on the web for show notes and other podcasts at www.archpodnet.com. Contact us at chris@archaeologypodcastnetwork.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with AutoQuote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.